So, what's next? Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and my next topic, burnout. So this is going to kind of be a commentary thing, so if you're looking to see some model building, this isn't the video. That'll be the next one. But I was thinking about my situation here with model building and my last, I'd say several months of last year, that I was just feeling just not that great about model building or anything related to it. I was doing it and I was enjoying it for the most part, but some things were really burning me out. So the first thing that I kind of dealt with was social media. I was like most people, in that I was subscribed or part of many Facebook groups, Instagram, and then obviously YouTube. And in checking out the Facebooks, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, especially Facebook, it started becoming a real drag. I would sit down for a session looking through Facebook, and it got to where I was eliminating a lot of pages, avoiding certain things, and the whole format of Facebook kind of bugs me because you get a lot of stuff on there that you don't want to see. There's a lot of subjects outside of modeling that I really don't care to see, but it's just constant, and I understand that's part of it. They're trying to make money or whatever, but I don't want to see that junk. And you can block stuff till the cows come home and stuff still pops up you don't want to see, or at least I don't want to see. So that was a real drag. Then there was certain groups that when I first joined, they seem okay, but then it got to the point as they grow, and I realize it's this way with any type of group of people or any kind of social setting, but there's a lot of detractors out there. And by detractors, I mean those people that don't have anything better to do than talk smack and just argue, it seems like, for argument's sake. For example, I heard a podcast the other day, and there was some people talking about some stuff they had read pertaining to weathering, especially of aircraft. It's 2024, and I'd say the modern era of modeling has been going on for 20 years, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. That's just the way it seems to me. But I cannot believe there are still arguments, not just discussions, but flat out arguments about weathering on aircraft, whether it's too much or too little. I don't care what subject it is, you can find extremes. Ultra clean, ultra dirty. So just do the flipping thing how you want and quit talking about it, for crying out loud. Now, discussing techniques and stuff like that is one thing, and that's great, but just the constant arguments about it, it's annoying. So that's the first thing that really bugs me about social media, specifically Facebook, is the constant arguing. People posting stuff. Here's my newest model. Oh wow, that's really cool, but it looks stupid because you did this, or it looks stupid because you did that. Well, there's two things going on. If you're going to post stuff, you're kind of putting yourself out there to take some kind of comments, whether they be positive or negative, and then there's delivery of the positive or negative. Somebody can deliver a negative, what could be considered a negative comment, in a way that's helpful for somebody. But then on the receiving end, it's like, I didn't ask for your opinion. I can build it however I want. And then you get all the other people jumping on board. Oh, it's your model, build it, paint it pink. Do what you want. And that's all well and good. But again, it devolves into arguments. the whole rivet counter thing. It's taken on a real negative connotation, but it could also be a positive thing, because the rivet counters out there, they're the ones that know the ins and outs, or they act like they do, of a given subject, how it was constructed, how much of this was on there, how much of that was on there, the angle of this, the angle of that, whatever. And it can be helpful. But on the flip side, it can be negative, because you get the rivet counters that, in the way it's used mostly, they're just jerks, and they're just pointing out stuff just to point out stuff and be jerks, and to be big-headed and say, hey, I know all this and you don't. You're a dimwit, blah, blah, blah. So there's that. Then there is the whole questions. Now, for a long time, I really defended what I'm getting ready to talk about. And that's people asking questions. Okay, for example, I've seen questions like this. What kind of glue should I use? Is that it? What kind of glue should you use? I'd say use Elmer's glue. For those of you who don't know what Elmer's glue is, it's a very popular, very famous brand of PVA glue in the United States. But wait, that's not for models. Well, the person didn't specify. They said, what kind of glue should I use? It's like, well, right now I'm thinking about wooden shelves. PVA glue works great for wooden shelves. So that's what I'm going to tell you to use. I mean, people got to be specific. What kind of glue should I use to glue photo etch parts to a resin part? Well, there you go. That's a little bit better. But then there's also the aspect of, it used to make me mad when people would say, well, Google it. Google is your friend, whatever. And that's kind of, can come off as sounding obnoxious, but to a great degree, it's true. You can get on the internet and type in, what kind of glue should I use to glue photo etch to resin parts on a model kit? And you'll find answers. I used to defend it saying, well, that's why it's called social media. People want to get together and ask questions and talk about things. And, that's fine. But then again, you get into the same thing. And then after a while, when you've seen the same question over and over and over and over, it kind of just gets wearisome. And I'm not saying the people that ask those kind of questions are wrong, because there are a lot of people out there that want to interact with others, and the only way they can do it is on social media. It's like, for me, I got nobody in this town where I live that builds models. There's no model clubs. There's no hobby shops that sell plastic models. The only place a person can buy a plastic model is Hobby Lobby, which is a big chain craft and hobby store in the States, and their model selection is horrible, and they just redid the section, and the part that carries actual models has gotten smaller. So I can understand the social aspect of it, but for crying out loud, it's like the same stuff all the time. And again, that's fine if people want to do that. I get tired of seeing that, because it's like you sit down with Facebook and you got scroll. Oh, there's something interesting. Read it. Start reading it. Then start reading the comments. By the time you get to the bottom, it's become a fight. So that's the whole thing with Facebook. It's just the incessant, bickering and the horrible questions. And I know people say, well, there's some good groups out there and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there are. But again, it goes back to the other stuff of all the extra junk and having to sort through everything just to get to those good groups. I've kind of got to the point now where it's like there are certain people that I like to talk to, and I'll converse with them using Facebook Messenger. But just to get on Facebook, I just can't do it anymore. So how does that factor into burnout? Well, I'll get to that. So that's the first thing that started kind of burning me out with model building and the hobby as a whole. All right, so what else? So then we've got YouTube, and this was a big one for me. And not so much in watching YouTube, but participating in YouTube, making videos and stuff like that. And if you've watched this channel for a while, some of you that subscribe, and again, I thank all my subscribers. You people are awesome, and I love getting comments. I love that interaction. And I'm going to start answering a lot more of and responding to the comments more, because people that take the time, you know, if somebody says something like, oh yeah, that was really great model, thanks for posting it, I probably won't respond to that. But if somebody responds or asks a question, has a more complex response that could take some conversation, I'm going to do that when I can. But getting back to the burnout part of it, excuse me, it was getting to the point where I was not enjoying making the videos. I used to really enjoy making videos, and then it got to the point where it was like, you know, it was starting to become a drudgery. And it wasn't because of anything anybody on the receiving end was doing. It was me. It was like, number one, I was making videos, and it was getting to the point where it was just the same old stuff. And I talk about this quite a bit in one of my other earlier videos from late last year, where I talked about the format's going to change, and I'm not going to do step-by-step build videos anymore, because I was doing that for a really long time. And you know, there's quite a few people that really like the step-by-step videos, but man, they take a long time. And I do mine in real time. I don't do any editing with my videos. I don't cut and splice and all that kind of stuff. It's like I sit down for a session, I do the video, and then I just stitch them all together when I'm done for whatever part I'm doing. So it's not really hard on my end to do the video per se, to stitch it together and make it to post, but it was just becoming boring, because, you know, for me, because, you know, I mean, there's people out there that ain't got nothing better to do than waste an hour and a half watching my videos or listen to me drone on about whatever I'm building. And that's fine, because a lot of people like that kind of stuff. But it was getting to the point, it's like, what am I offering people? I'm not offering them anything new, especially when building newer kits. So like, I had mentioned this in some of my earlier videos. If you've seen one Tamiya kit, aircraft kit built, you've seen them all. It may be a different subject, it may be a prop or a jet or whatever, but it's the same thing. You do the cockpit, you do this, you do this, you do this. And with the Tamiya kit, it all just goes together most of the time, majority of the time. It just goes together. You paint it, you put it together, you whatever. And it doesn't matter if it's a Japanese 0 on 1/72nd scale, or a BF 109 and 1/48 scale, or a P-51 Mustang in 1/32nd scale. They're all going to go together exactly the same. They're just going to go together. There's nothing special that goes on. It's just like building Lego. Put the bricks together and, oh, look what you have here. You have a haunted mansion. Like that, right up there. I love that thing. But it's not, I don't think it's offering anything other than really, it's a time waster. I mean, some people turn on the background and it's something to listen to while they're working on their own models, whatever. So it was becoming a drag, because I was doing the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. And I was feeling bad because I didn't feel like I was offering anything. And I know a lot of you might comment and say, oh yeah, we love your videos and you have a lot to offer, blah. And I understand that, and again, I appreciate it. But I wasn't getting, this is gonna sound hokey, but I wasn't getting any fulfillment out of it, you know? It's like I was just performing a task over and over and over again. So that was becoming a big drain on my attitude towards the hobby. And it was starting to take a toll on building. And Another aspect of that, I felt like in some cases I was building for other people. I was building for everybody else, not for what I really wanted to do, or just building it for enjoyment. It became a task where I was sitting down at my desk, get the camera ready, get all my stuff set, dive in. And for a long time that was okay, but it just started, like I said, becoming a drag. So there was that aspect of the hobby that was just really getting me down. So that's pretty much everything about the social media aspect of the hobby. So, you know, and by changing stuff up, I lost some subscribers. I've actually had some, you know, it's like, well, I'm not going to watch your videos anymore unless you know, do them like this, or unless you build this kind of stuff. You know, I had one person get upset because I wasn't building enough armor, because I'd switched over to building aircraft. And at first I was like, oh, that's a bummer. I'm really sorry. You know, I'll see what I can do about that. I thought, wait a minute. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for my own pleasure and enjoyment. And so it's a hobby, for crying out loud. I'm not obligated to do anything. And it kind of made me sore. And, you know, I haven't heard from that person in a couple of years ever since that happened. And it's a real bummer, because I enjoyed, you know, conversing with the person. You know, it was online. But, you know, it happens. And so that was some of the things about YouTube and the social media aspect that was burning me out. So what else? Tell you another thing that was a burnout. And this is going to sound weird, but having a large amount of models can contribute to burnout for somebody like me. Because some of these people that have hundreds of kits in their stash, I couldn't do it. I could not do it, because I find it to be a burden knowing that I have a bunch of model kits to build. I remember when I was younger and when I first got back in the hobby, I'd have one kit. I'd build a kit, I'd get done with the kit completely, then I'd go buy another one. Or when I got back into the hobby, I would order another one online, since I don't have any place local to get them. And I really enjoyed the hobby. And to me, having too many kits on standby can be kind of a burden, because I have those in the back of my mind. It's like, what am I going to build next? I start building something. It's like, man, maybe I should have started that other one. It's like, oh man, I got that to build. And I've got too many things going on in my head while I'm trying to build a model, and it can be distracting. Fortunately, my meager stash though it was, there was still quite a few kits. I've almost got it down. I've got it down quite a bit. The quantity that I have is manageable now. Now, I have to say that I have enjoyed building every kit, and most of them I did not pay for. I got from other people. And to anybody who's ever sent me a kit or kits, believe you me, I am extremely grateful, and I've really enjoyed building every one. And when I actually sit down at the bench and I'm building it, I think a lot about the people who have sent me stuff, and I am really thankful. But on the other hand, having a whole lot of kits for me is kind of like some added pressure, so to speak. And why that is, I don't know. It's not, I mean, there's some people that, talk about, it's like, oh, I've only got so many years left and I've got all these kits. Well, I don't really think of that, because I don't have that many kits, and I'm in good health. And, I figure I've got a few years to go, so that's not really a pressure to me. But just in the back of my mind, knowing these other kits are there, I don't know why. It just can be kind of stressful. So there was that. So there was just all these different things that were making the hobby not so fun. So that's all the reasons that I can think of offhand. There's probably more, and I'll think of them when the video's all done and posted, and I'll be like, oh, I wish I'd have thought of this. But those are the main factors right there. And my workspace, it was kind of small, and our office was kind of cramped, but hence moving into this one. But all that said, that was creating burnout. So here I sit, second video in 2 days that I've made. I don't know how soon this will post up after my other one, but what has changed? Well, let me tell you something. So here is something that I discovered. So in all the times, I know there's been various levels of burnout throughout my modern modeling career, my current modeling career. And usually it's just, just little slumps, and maybe it's because of a kit that hasn't worked out the way I want. So I'll push it aside and I'll build something else. It's like, oh, I'm revitalized. Things are cool. But this last bout of burnout, because of the aforementioned stuff, it was really, really bad. And I think, and I hear a lot of people talk, I've heard of, the only thing really I do other than watch some YouTube videos, listen to some podcasts. I find those interesting because I can just turn it on while I'm working or whatever, and I get something out of them. I don't like them all equally, but I generally listen to quite a few different ones, and there's some that I really like. And in some of them, occasionally people will sit down and talk about burnout. It's like, the mojo's gone. I just don't feel like getting to the bench and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there thinking, I hear you, man. And they talk about, what can a person do to change that? Well, here's one thing I've discovered. There is something that can be done, but it has an element of fear to it. Fear, you say? What are you talking about? Well, it's like this. Sometimes a person needs a break. And sometimes a person needs a long break. Like a couple of months maybe. Speaking from experience. So, along with that comes with the fear that, wow, if I stop building models for a couple of months, maybe I'm going to discover that I don't ever want to build a model again, which in and of itself isn't that bad, but I've got this stash, this huge pile of models. I've got all this materials and supplies and a workspace and all this kind of stuff. I've sunk all this money into it, and it's just going to be wasted if I quit building models. So there's a pressure to continue on, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'd be willing to bet it's this way for a lot of other people. I think to myself, it's like, man, it's like, what a waste, So then if you keep going, you might just slap some kits together just to be doing it and not do a good job, or you just do it and it's just like, it's not fun. You just feel an obligation to do it or whatever, when it might just be a matter of taking a good long break and just throwing that fear aside that you're not going to come back to it. So that's kind of what happened with me. And it wasn't a conscious effort that one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a break from this model building stuff and I'm just going to see what happens. It was kind of forced on me, but it gave me the practical experience that triggered this video. So what I did, I explained in my other video that I had some remodel stuff to do, okay? And it was going to be pretty time intensive. So I wasn't going to have a lot of time for the bench because, I have my regular job and then I've got the remodel stuff I'm doing. So I'd be working and I'd get off work and I'd start on the remodel stuff. And when I got done, it would be late. I'd want to sit down with my wife, have a conversation, have dinner, maybe go to dinner. Then you got the other stuff like going to the store, getting groceries, whatever. So I did not have any time to sit down at the bench and work. And then about the time that I did have a little bit of time every once in a while, I had shut down the old office and I really didn't have a place to do it. And then I set up my other area over here that I thought was going to be my entire modeling area. And again, that's in the previous video. I'll shoot a link at the end that you can click on and check out my previous video where I talk about my workspace. But I'd sit down at that workspace and, you know, to check stuff on my computer or whatnot, and I had zero desire to do anything because it was just such a cramped space. So there's those factors there, and the fact that I have, up until a couple of weeks ago when I got pneumonia, I finally got pneumonia, I should say, I just felt crummy from about the middle to end of December, all the way through January, all the way through February and into March. I just felt crummy. So I didn't feel like building. So I just, you know, do my job the best I could, and then eventually I had to take some time off because I felt so bad. And after I felt so bad for a few days, I'd go to the doctor. It was, you know, you already got pneumonia, you got to lay off for a week, blah, blah, blah. So I was kind of forced into giving up the hobby for a good 2.5 months. And one day when I was out doing my regular job, I was thinking about all this, and I thought, you know what? This is a good exercise. This is going to tell me if I really like this hobby, and if a good long break is something that can relight the fire, so to speak. YouTube, I wasn't watching any modeling videos. I'd kind of glance at them. It's like, I'm not interested. I'm staying away from it. It was all cycling videos, fail videos, and doing, you know, just reading, doing whatever. I just kind of didn't do much in modeling. My buddy Jim Deck over at Shutter Ace, SA Reloaded YouTube channel. We've done chatterboxes together and stuff like that. We talk almost on the daily, and only occasionally would modeling come up. We were just talking about life in general, what's going on here, what's going on there, how's the job, how's your grandkids, how's the lungs doing, Jim, all this kind of stuff. We didn't really talk about modeling that much. It'd kind of occasionally pop up. And so I just basically had a modeling fast for 2.5 months. So when I was thinking about that, when I was doing my job, I thought, man, am I really going to start building again? Because now's the time to decide, because I'm getting ready to set up my hobby stuff again. So I got all of the remodel done and all that kind of stuff, and started putting my new area. And the closer I got, even when all my stuff was over there, but I knew what I was going to be doing, and I started thinking about some of the kits I have, and my renewed, the different way I was going to be doing things as far as videos and builds and stuff like that, which will be another video. I started getting interested and energized again, and looking forward to sitting down at the bench. Again, 2 videos in 2 days I've shot. The interest has come back. But taking that time off did me a world of good. You know, because I would think about the stuff when I'm out working. It's like, you know, so what's my plans for whenever I, you know, if I get back to the bench? What am I going to do? What am I going to do about YouTube, since that's the only social media thing that I still even am partially interested in? What am I going to do about my builds? What projects am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And it was nice to think about it and not immediately go and act on it at the bench. It gave me time to think about these things, consider them, modify them, whatever. So that long break did me a lot of good. And as you can tell, it did not send me over the edge that I don't ever want to build again. I'm done. So why did I say all of this stuff up to this point? Well, let me tell you. All of that tell you folks out there that might be watching, that might be feeling the same way. Maybe that's what your problem is. Maybe that's your stumbling block with the hobby. Because I've heard quite a few people say, it's like, I'm just kind of burned out. It's like, I just sit on the bench, I look at my stuff, and I just get up and leave. I don't want to work on it. And I think that there may be a certain element of fear that if I take a good long break, maybe it's the whole summer. I mean, I hear this a lot from people in England that I am acquainted with online. That it's like, okay, you're not going to see me much for the next 3 months because the weather's going to be nice. I'm going to be going on a holiday. I'm going to be doing these things. I'm going to be outside. Or people in really bad climates, it's like we've been under snow for 6 months. The snow's gone, so I'm going to be working out in the yard. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be outside doing blah blah blah. And so I'll see you guys in a few months. And those people, for the most part, seem to be pretty right in the head when it comes to the hobby. They've got a good balance, I think. But they're not afraid that if I'm leaving for 3 months to, do my thing until the weather gets bad again, they don't seem to have that fear that it's like, man, if I do this though, maybe I won't want to build models when I get back. They just know they will. So they take their break and boom, they're good. And I'm not saying everybody needs to take a long break from building, but if you're getting to that point where you're really feeling burned out and kind of lost, it might be something to consider. And in considering that, don't let the fear of I'm afraid that I won't put to use all these thousands of dollars I put into kits and supplies and stuff, so I can't really give it up. Because I think if you do give it up for a while, just give it up, cold turkey, do something else, whether it's just sitting in a chair reading a book, whatever. Just get out, get away from the bench, and don't be afraid to take that chance. Because most likely, unless there's something really bad has happened, most likely you're going to get done with that point and with that break, and you're going to be glad you did it. You're going to feel revitalized, ready to go on the bench. Maybe fresh ideas will flow into your brain while you're not building and stuff. And it can be just a really good thing. So, in a nutshell, if you're feeling burned out, maybe consider giving the hobby up for a period of time, however long you deem necessary. I mean, it may be 4, 5, 6 months. It may be just a month. But do yourself a favor, give it up, but don't be scared that you're not going to do it. Because ultimately, if you do get through all of that and you discover it's like, I think I'm done with model building. I think I want to go on to stand-up paddleboarding or something. Skydiving. I think I want to do that instead. Well, no harm, no foul. You know enough people probably, if you're watching this and you're involved with social media, you know enough people probably that you could unload this stuff on somebody else. Or just pack it away, because who knows, in a few years you may want to come back and do it again. But just for mental health reasons, I would say don't be afraid, and chances are you'll give it up for a period of time and you'll come back refreshed, and your fear of not getting back to the bench will be unfounded. So there you have it. So if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching. I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. If you've run into something like this, or if you have considered it, if this video has maybe been helpful in helping you make a decision, maybe put comments down below. Or if you have a YouTube channel, maybe do a video on it. That'd be really interesting to see other people's thoughts. But if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful. I know this is way different than what I usually do on this channel, but my channel is going to be a lot different going forward. I'm not going to have a pattern. I'm just going to do what feels right. So anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and my discussion on burnout. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Got more stuff coming up. And yeah, so until next time, I bid you all adieu.